Hey homeschool friends, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to my third grade recap video. So this is a video where I chat through all of the curriculum that I used for my third grader this year, so 2022-2023 school year. We're going to go back through my original curriculum video that I posted early last June, which again is the plan for this year. But I'm going to go back through that and we're going to chat through how it all went because I think it's really valuable to look back. I think it really puts me in a good headspace to make sure that I don't get drawn into like all the new and shiny curriculum or the types of homeschool philosophies that really draw me in and appeal to me but just do not work for my family. I'm looking at you, Charlotte Mason, that just hasn't worked for us. And I think doing these types of videos, these types of recaps and reflections are really helpful for me. And I hope they can be helpful for you as you see how my year actually went in comparison to how I thought it would go. So that is the plan for this video, is we are going to chat through some amazing curriculum as well as some duds, at least for my family or my son in particular, who was 8/9 years old during his third grade year. So stay tuned for all my thoughts, good or bad, on my curriculum choices. So hi, my name is Angie. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back if you've been coming for a while. So like I said, we are going to be chatting through third grade. How did third grade go for us? What were some standout curriculum choices and what were some not so standout curriculum choices? And I do want to note that this is only for the individual subjects for my third graders. So we're not going to be talking about the family subjects. I am going to be doing some review videos coming soon of all the Sonlight history, Bible literature, as well as science. So stay tuned for that. But this video right here is more his individual subjects and how that all went. And so like I said, I'm going to be going through this video. So this was our curriculum choices video from last year. I'll probably be popping up some of the clips from there just to give you an idea of what I was thinking, and then we're going to chat through how it actually went. So I started last year's video with my math choices. So for my son, we are continuing on with Saxon. We are moving on to Saxon Math 3. So you can see we use Saxon 3. Guys, did it work? Yes. Do we like it? Yes. Are we sticking with Saxon? Yes. Now, Saxon 3 was the last of the more teacher-intensive years, and I think it is really setting my child up well to go into some of those more independently taught Saxon programs, which really starts with Saxon 5-4. And so this year really solidified a lot of the addition subtraction facts, as well as went into multiplication, and we started division about a month ago, and so we're going to end the year with those two concepts, and I feel like it's been going really well. It's been a really good fit for him, clearly, because we're just moving on with Saxon. And then it came to logic. Okay, you guys, I showed you my logic book, and I was like, oh, this is going to be great. It wasn't. It didn't work out. It was too hard. And I can't remember if I pointed out in that video, but it was for grades 3 to 6, and he's grade 3. But we had done all the other books, and so I'm just holding on to those fun logic problems, and we'll see if he can do them this upcoming year or the year after. It really doesn't matter. I think they're just fun and they're good for the brain. So anyway, that program kind of tanked this year, but not to say that we don't like that curriculum. We'll be using it again. All right, let's go into language arts. We're gonna probably be camping out here a lot in this recap video because this was the year where I feel like language arts, maybe not all of language arts, mostly like spelling, was a struggle, and just really finding my feet, trying to figure out what worked for my third grader was really difficult. So to start with, I'm going to start with Sonlight. So I decided to give Sonlight Language Arts another try, and he would be in level 3 of Sonlight, which I'm just really excited about. Okay, so you could see in that first clip, my goal was to use Sonlight Language Arts 3. We eventually did. Initially, I had to make a switch back to Language Arts 2, only because I actually took the placement test for that, and I learned that he was better suited for Language Arts 2. So what we did is we spent the fall going through some of those Language Arts 2 concepts, especially like the creative expression concepts, before we switched to Language Arts 3 come January, which I have a whole review video on that, and I'll link it above. But I had to kind of make a last minute switch and a last minute order last fall because I realized that was a little bit too much for him. And I'll show you a quick glimpse inside what the lesson plans look like for the language arts, especially for level 3. And you can see it starts out with spelling. And so this is my plan for spelling. I decided to stop using All About Spelling and we're going to try the Sonlight spelling. The other thing about the Sonlight Language Arts, and I cannot remember if my intention was to start with the spelling from Sonlight, and I think I did, and I think I made it about a month before I was like, he does not excel in list type spelling. And so we had to move on. And this was around the time I was reading a lot about Charlotte Mason, where I was just sold on this idea of really teaching spelling in a more natural way. So I was like, yay, I'm gonna order Simply Charlotte Mason, Using Language Well and Spelling Wisdom. And I did, and I got it in the mail and we started to use it, and I really liked it. I really liked it. He did not do so well. After a while, he was just getting so stressed out at looking at the small passages and trying to remember all the words. And even though he was like trying to kind of take mental pictures of the words, it wasn't working. He didn't understand why the words were spelled the way they were. So I feel like we made it from like August to October with that program, and then we set it aside. The Abeka grade 2. So I picked up the teacher's guide as well as the workbook for phonics and language. And here's what I was thinking. So with Abeka grade 2, they still are teaching phonics, but it is heavier on the language. So the Abeka phonics program is really K4, K5, grade 1, and part of grade 2, but I wasn't sure to what extent it was in the grade 2 program. And so when I picked this up, I was looking through it, and really it's just a lot of the review of the special sounds from grade 1. And since my son is independently reading, he's been taking off, I'm a little unsure if I actually want to use this program. Okay, so you can see from that clip that I wanted the Abeka grade 2 to kind of solidify some of his phonics. I was a little wary of the writing component because I had decided to fully take on the Sonlight composition. And so I didn't want the writing from Abeka. And so I kind of waffled back and forth on whether I was going to use Abeka. My problem was when I was also trying to use the Sonlight's copywork application, which is their form of grammar. And I think by the time mid-fall rolled around, I just realized I couldn't use the Sonlight grammar, and I had stopped using Abeka for a while because it was like too much. It was using 2 different programs, and that was silly. But I realized again, and I probably should have known this, I do better with a little bit more hand-holding when it comes to certain language arts programs, most especially grammar. And so we went back to Abeka Grammar because it's really a good program. So I finished out most of the year with the Abeka grade 2. I'll get back to when we drop that. But it was really good. It solidified some of his language skills. It finished off its phonics. And so I would say Abeka grade 2 was a good fit for my son for 3rd grade. But we also used a number of other language arts programs. So what I have for him that is more on the independent side is handwriting. So we went back to Danielian handwriting. I also want to teach my son typing. And so I made a whole video flipping through the Good and the Beautiful's typing curriculum, typing 1, 2, and 3, but I'm going to have him do typing 1 this year independently so he can work on my computer while he does that. Reading comprehension. This is an Abeka workbook. It's level 2, but like always, I feel like they're so ahead that I'm fine using a level below. But I've been wanting to pick these up because I feel like it will help him with more of the standardized testing, which we are required to do in our state. Okay, so you can see we used Danielian for handwriting, the Good and the Beautiful for typing, and Abeka for reading comprehension. Those all went great. A reading comprehension I kind of came in, went with, but we finished out the year with it. I feel like those sheets worked once his reading was more solid, and that was more around Christmas time, and then that just started flowing and clicking for him, and we brought those back. Otherwise, the typing was great. We're going to finish that out soon, and the Danielian is always just fine. Handwriting is handwriting, right? So those all worked great. Now let me finish off what happened with spelling. And so I feel like the only time I chatted about spelling in last year's video was when I was talking about Sonlight, and that tanked within about a month. Then, like I said, I went to Using Language Well and Spelling Wisdom. That tanked by about October. And then I decided to try Spelling UC. And I really liked it. I liked a lot of aspects of it. I liked the chunking and the fact that it wasn't list form. But when it came down to it, that wasn't quite working either because my son was just getting very confused with the different types of chunking. So with Abeka Phonics, you use special sounds, which is kind of looking for certain word chunks. And then the Spelling UC was using different chunks. And so it was like highlighting in different ways, and he did not like that. And he also did not understand why certain words were spelled the way they were, and that was driving him a little bit nuts. So both that approach of spelling UC and spelling wisdom both use that idea of through enough exposure, and especially with spelling UC, focusing on the chunks of words that will eventually get the kids there. And maybe it would have, and maybe I didn't stick with it long enough, but my son really was getting confused, and he was getting really down on himself, like upset with the fact that he really was struggling with spelling. And so I knew that I really needed to make a switch. And really for him, it comes down to the fact he needed more structure, he needed spelling rules. And so then I had to make the decision as to where to go with that. I decided to go with Logic of English Essentials. We started that this past month or so. We're gonna finish out the school year with that. I've made a lot of videos on that, so I'm gonna not talk about it in this video. But that's kind of the full story of our spelling for the year. And looking at it in kind of that linear timeline really helps me see our journey, especially with spelling. A lot of the other stuff we were doing just fine with, like the Sonlight composition. That was going well. We started using Sonlight level 2, like I said, and then we switched to level 3 around Christmas, and the composition was going really well. Sonlight calls it creative expression, and I feel like my son was really liking it. I did make it so that he did not have to worry about spelling whatsoever, so you could barely read it sometimes. I feel like I really had to use my skills at phonics to try and see what some of the words were that he was spelling completely wrong, but he was excited because his creativity was all there. He loved making the stories. He loved following just the different assignments, and he enjoyed it. And I think that's a huge win, you guys. So the fact that his spelling is such a struggle could have really dampened his composition and his ability to write. But I feel like this was a win for me because I never made it about the spelling. When we switched into that subject, I always told him ahead of time that I did not care about spelling. I would help him correct all the spelling, and all I wanted was what was up in his head. And so he could write as fast as he wanted because he did not have to worry about spelling and things like that. And we will get there. And I know we'll get there to where that matters more. But as a third grader, I don't feel like that matters. I feel like just supporting him and his creativity mattered a lot more to me than that kind of stuff. So I realized I was a little all over the place with recapping language arts, but I feel like we ended in a good spot. I feel like I tried to set myself up well at the beginning, and that's okay. I feel like it's all part of the journey. I don't see those as like curriculum failure choices, all those, words. I don't see it that way. I see it as the journey to get us to what we needed. And yes, those programs don't work for us. The Spelling Wisdom didn't work. Spelling UC didn't work. Abeka language I didn't stick with. All these things didn't quite take, but they got us to where we needed to be. So I'm really thankful for that. And so let me tune into the very last section of last year's video, and I'll show you what I was thinking for kind of the extras. But I always like to include a handicraft of some sort, like something that they're just trying to learn that they can do in their free time, but I'm a little bit more intentional with buying them resources and things like that. Last year he wanted to learn whittling, and that has gone really well, and he still is really liking it. Like, we got him a whole set of tools and extra wood and a Skillshare class last year kind of around Christmas because he was still so into it, and he still really likes it. And so I want him to continue to build that skill because he's still interested in it, but he has been expressing more interest in art. So he took an art class at his enrichment school, and he just wants to learn how to draw and do different things, but he has specifically asked about watercoloring. Okay, so you can see, as for extras, I was trying to do more art and some whittling, and honestly, we didn't hardly do any of that. My kids do art when they want to. They draw when they want to. My son has enjoyed drawing and tracing and different things like that, but an actual program, no, it didn't work. We didn't do it. I've learned that I don't have the space in my schedule for it. My kids do an enrichment school day, like a drop-off, 6 hours. They pick all of these wonderful art, science, musical theater, choir, karate, Lego classes that they can take at enrichment school, and that's such a blessing. And so I need to stop trying to do those things at home, because what they make me feel like is I'm failing. I'm not doing artistic pursuits. I'm not encouraging him to do his handicraft, things like that. I'm not even going to include that in next year's video. So I have learned my lesson on that. It doesn't mean that he doesn't do those things or doesn't enjoy those things. I'm just not making it a part of school. I'm tired of that idea. And I think it's just because I get so drawn into the idea of different philosophies or types of curriculum or types of homeschooling, like very beautiful and authentic and natural homeschooling. And I totally like that, but it doesn't quite fit my family in this time right now. So I'm gonna let enrichment school do that. So anyway, that's really my recap of the year. I think it was a wonderful year. I didn't even mention the fact that my son went from like sort of confident in reading as we started out in the summer to like doing amazing. Like I can hand him his Sonlight readers now and he reads them and we can talk about them. I do still enjoy sitting with him and sometimes he needs me to sit with him, but he has made so much progress. And same with math. Like I feel like the progress from last summer, fall to now has been huge and I'm so proud of him. So yes, he did great. Third grade was amazing. Even if we made all those switches in curriculum, his progress was great. And so that's what I want to leave you with on this. And I hope this video was encouraging to see kind of where it started and where the year ended and how that's okay. It doesn't have to look exactly like I planned it. And next year probably won't either. So let me know down below, how did your year go? If you were to like reflect and recap it, how would you say it went? I would love to hear that. I feel like we can really lift each other up down in the comments. So please leave your thoughts down below and give the video a thumbs up if you liked it and subscribe to the channel if you want to. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next homeschool video.